Man, you are looking good. Are we doing a show next week or what?
No.
No,
We'll be back on January the 5th. That'll be our next show after this. We don't do shows over the holidays because I think it's unethical to ask people to work on the holidays.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, like, people don't know this, but a lot of it's show, and I know you're really big into taking off for the Lord's Day and celebrating Jesus, you know.
I guess. I mean, I don't know what any of that means, really.
No, listen, sorry.
Christmas.
Sometimes when I speak, I speak with doctor terms.
Christmas is
what you caught right there.
Christmas is a celebration of the winter solstice by pagans.
Mm-hmm.
Where they did a purification ritual. The blood of the lamb situation is where they would put a lamb over the top of a grate, and then an aristocrat would be under it, and they would slaughter the lamb, and the blood would fall over him, and that was a purification ritual. That's where all that comes from.
Gotcha.
And Christians Jesus would have been born in like fucking March, I think. Not.
Dude, first off.
Not December.
First off, let's get your shit right. This was not the way it was, you know, like it's not the traditional way. Like Mary was a virgin. Mary was a virgin and had Jesus. You understand me? Like she'd never had sex. You know?
No.
And like
I don't know.
And
honestly, neither do you, and neither does anybody else, including the people who wrote that fucking book.
Well, and check it out. And the other thing is and I have this theory, and I don't know if the theory's right, and Giorgio probably doesn't have a microphone either. Like George, I don't trust your opinion, Dan, because you're just so opinionated, but I trust Giorgio's because he's open-minded.
I'm very open-minded. I just think that the Jesus story is...
Bro, I figured out who
about how to be a man in the world, no matter what time, what time period it is.
I figured out who Jesus' dad is.
Okay. Not James.
No, it's the elf on the shelf.
How's that work?
Well, the elf on the shelf banged Mary. And that's where Jesus came from. But
Saint Nicholas and the elf bullshit, that didn't even come around.
Shelf. Do you know what the elf on the shelf is?
Yeah, but that didn't come around until like the fucking medieval period.
Yeah, but it's magic. You don't know that.
So you're saying that the elf on the shelf is a time traveler.
Well,
it went back in time like Kyle Reese.
No, bro.
And got Mary pregnant, and she gave birth to Jesus, who in this story...
Santa Claus got old and started giving gifts out, and Santa Claus comes back to visit his son's birthday. You think it's a coincidence that Santa Claus is also the father? Like, Santa Claus is the true father. He comes back on Christmas for his son's birthday.
This is the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life.
Dude, what do you think, Giorgio?
Yeah, he's drinking coffee.
Because you know Santa Claus is Jesus' dad.
I wish he was.
That's why he comes back on Christmas to see his son for his birthday.
You know, I'm more of a Krampus guy.
What?
Krampus, like the German folktale about the alter ego to Santa. Krampus is the one that punishes kids for being naughty. And,
hey, you know, like I seen this comment. Somebody said that I need to learn how to sit in a chair. They've never sat in these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Dude, the motherfucker that said that I need to learn how to sit in a chair should show up here and show me how to sit in this fucking chair.
I thought that was pretty funny, to be honest.
Yeah. Teach me how to sit in a chair. Well, so, you know, for Christmas, Dan, what I would like is new fucking chairs in here.
Yeah, we could probably do that.
Yeah.
Let's get to the show.
Okay.
We're doing a year in review of the top stories of the year. We'll breeze through some of these. We're going to have fun today. And by fun, I mean we're going to start out with systemic racism and police reform. So 1,004 people were fatally shot by police. In 2019, about 25% of those were black people. Now, since black people represent 13% of the population, you may think that's elevated. But with interactions with police, and not because they're black, but because they're in high crime areas typically, right? So that number's a bit skewed. The real one that matters is of the 1,004 people shot by police fatally.
370 were white.
Yeah, 370 were white, but 28 were unarmed. 19 of those were white, 9 were black. So, of the 1,004 people that were shot by police, God fucking damn it. Oh, man, I hate this thing sometimes. Of the 1,004 people that were shot by police, about 0.9% were black people, unarmed black people. So, it's just not, we say this all the time, but it's just not accurate that police are out there on the prowl for black people to shoot. It's just not, it's not reflected.
I mean, police are still getting, what I would like to see what this number is how many times do police draw their guns?
And not fire, you mean?
And not fire, yeah. Right? You add that up, statistically, they're still getting it right.
Yeah. I mean, and look, in a lot of those, we see every case where a police officer shoots an unarmed person without just cause, they get prosecuted now, sure. Which is good.
Yeah, perfect.
That's a good thing that's come from this. We're seeing one right now with a woman that pulled her service weapon instead of her taser, although it seems like she might be okay based on what I've seen so far. Time will tell on that one. The defense is trying to make the case that even though she killed a guy even though she meant to grab her other weapon, she was in the escalation of force was at that point justified in pulling the weapon and shooting him. But I don't know how that's going to go. That'll depend on the jury.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, here out of those, let's say those 28. Let's just focus on those 28. How many of them were resisting arrest?
Well, I would assume that all of them.
Fighting the cops.
Yeah, I would assume all of them.
So again.
We've seen, so let's say Michael Brown, for example, in Ferguson, Missouri, he was unarmed,
but he deserved to get shot.
Correct. Yeah, he was wiling out, trying to grab the cop's gun.
Yes.
We don't know how many of those were that, but even that is a pretty low number, and I think that shouldn't be. People shouldn't look at that and say, all right, well, we've solved everything. People should look at that and be like, all right, well, cool. How can we reduce those?
Still,
not just from the police officer's perspective, but how can we interdict people who are getting mentally ill enough, or crazy enough, or strung out, or whatever it is enough to get into these situations in the first place?
Well,
right?
and I bet when you go down to these 28 again, like the first thing that me or you as citizens can do to put us in the best position to not be one of these 28 is to do what the authorities, the police officers, ask us to do.
Yeah, record everything. If you feel like things are not above board, if you're getting pulled over and you feel like it's suspect, drive to the local police station, call the dispatch and say, "Hey, I'm on my way. Let your cruiser know that I'm fucking coming there, and we can have a conversation there." That's a perfectly reasonable thing to do, and you're not going to get in trouble for that.
Yeah.
Right.
But again, my point to this being is nothing good is going to happen by trying to fight a cop.
No, there's nothing to be gained from that.
Zero.
You don't, even if you're right, you still lose because you look like a dick.
Yeah.
It's like screaming and cursing in an argument instead of just making your point.
And you don't know what again, and I'm not giving them, look, they're paid to do a job, and they're not paid enough at all, by no
Correct,
means.
Yeah. No, teachers and cops should be paid
way more.
Way more. Well, not the teachers that are trying to teach critical race theory.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
The rest. 48 police officers were killed by suspects in 2019. So more cops were killed by suspects than unarmed individuals of any kind were killed by police. And here's some issues we have now. So black people make up 13.4% of the population. In 2019, 51% of homicides and 53% of robberies were committed by African Americans. They are also murdered at 8 times the rate of whites and Hispanics combined. And that's because there is no hate crime issue in America. 85 to 90% of murders are committed by somebody from the same race. And fucking 65+% of the time, it's somebody that you know. That's a problem. The high crime rate, homicide and robbery, violent crime rate amongst black people in America shows that a number of things. One, the people that have made the point that fatherless homes have taken over from poverty as the number one predictor of crime are right. That's correct now, right? And it doesn't help that we spent 25 or 30 years putting people in long-term confinement for weed and shit like that. Like I don't remember what it was. At some point, 30% of the federal prison population, at least, was in for weed. I don't know about the regular prison population, but a lot of it was drug-related stuff. There's got to be more we can do here for that, but it looks like things are trending in the right direction, except for in the defund areas. Now, some of these people have made a significant turn and come back in the right direction and started funding police again.
Oh yeah, no, the pendulum's going to swing back.
Yeah, Chesa Boudin, and George Gascon in California are both going to get ejected from office at light speed. Good.
But I'll be honest, like looking at this, 51% of homicides and 53% of robberies were committed by African Americans. I'll be honest, that does surprise me.
Yeah, it is surprising because most of the people I know are white because I'm white, and that's how that works in America, right? Or anywhere, really. But none of I guess because of that, because the concentration of people that I know is a higher percentage of white people, I know way more white assholes than black assholes, right? But I think that would be true for black people as well. Like they would probably know more black assholes than white assholes.
Yeah,
because that's just how it works, and that's reflected in the murder rates. Yeah, it's unfortunate, and I think it's a failure of society. Now, people have to take responsibility for their own actions. There's no question about that.
100%.
But there's got to be more we can do to stop that shit. I mean, all of us have dealt with a lot of issues in our lives, especially those of us who grew up with either no father or shitty fathers. I think that's a big issue. So it's helpful to point out things like a police officer is 18 and a half times more likely to be killed by a black male than an unarmed black male is to be killed by police. I think that is a useful statistic.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean we've absolved ourselves of responsibility.
No.
And seeing that our friends and family, regardless of what they look like, are having issues, then we need to fucking step in and help them.
This is like, and I don't want this to sound terrible, but this is kind of like why we could never win the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, right? Like, as soon as you kill this guy for putting in a fucking bomb in the town, you just turned around. You might have took out one enemy, but you made 5 more from his fucking family.
Yeah.
Who are going to revenge his children. His sons just became your enemy. They're going to avenge your death. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter if you can prove it or not.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it doesn't, so it's a tough situation for sure. It's a cultural insurgency in a lot of ways. I just think that the first step is to have the right data. And the second step is to show some fucking compassion. And maybe it doesn't work. I mean, what is it? The third season of The Wire, or 4th season? Bunny Colvin goes into the school and tries to teach these fucking hippies that by the time the kids are 15 to 16 years old, it's too late. So they start going to target the 10 and 12-year-olds to try to turn them around. It's Shaw's pathway methodology, basically. We have to do more. We're abandoning the young black males, especially in our society. We have throwing their fathers in jail, which is committed crimes. That's fine, whatever. But we didn't do anything to fill the gap.
Well, yeah, and what we've done is we've thought that by subsidizing with money to get into school and all these other programs is going to be what fixes it, but that's not it.
No, because that shit's not real to them.
It's kind of like giving money to the welfare crew.
There's no actual upward ability.
There's no actual upward ability there.
Yeah. Now, on the point of having the right data, we already said 18 and a half times more likely, a cop is 18 and a half times more likely to be killed by a black male than an unarmed black male is to be killed by police. Philadelphia did an analysis. Actually, the Justice Department did analysis of Philadelphia. Excuse me. And their findings were that of the unarmed black suspects that were shot, 16.7% were shot by Hispanic officers, 11.4% shot by black officers, only 6.8% shot by white officers. So, you know, the narrative that, and it's a moving goalpost for these folks too, because they'll say that it's the institution of policing, not just whiteness itself, that's an issue. But that is just a moving goalpost. The reality is that there's 375 million interactions with police and civilians annually, and very, very few of them end in a negative way. And the ones that do, almost like 98% of them were adjudicated correctly by the officer, which I think, I mean, if it was an umpire, and I know that I don't want to be dismissive of people who fuck up or the seriousness of the situation, but if it was an umpire and he was right 98% of the time, you would consider that pretty good. Mm-hmm. And as an institution, they're right that frequently. That's what the data shows. Look, Biden's Department of Justice has fucking, of course, if they had the data to suggest this otherwise from this, they would be doing it because they fucking hate cops. Anyways, just arm yourself with the right information, but don't make the mistake of thinking that because you're right, that you don't still have some responsibility to your fucking community to help people that need help, right? Like, we got to stop this dancing on our grave bullshit. Like, oh, you were fucking wrong about that. Go back and live your fucking shitty life. Like, no, dude, what kind of person does that make you? You're right. I posted this on Twitter the other day. We have to get away from, well, I think that half of this country right now especially needs to kick the spent cost fallacy. They feel like they've believed this stuff this far, so they have to double down on it, continue believing it. They need to kick that and say, hey, you know what? I'm sorry. We were lied to. And then the other side needs to say, what? You know what? Don't apologize. We were lied to as well. All the time. I don't dislike you. It's the fucking government and academia and these institutions that are fucking us over, not each other. Like, how many times on a regular basis do you get fucked over by another regular person? This doesn't happen that much. It's usually the government taking your money or trying to fucking force you to do shit.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, I don't get fucked over by other people unless I expose myself to do that.
Right.
Right? Like, you know, look, I mean, but that's on me. That ain't on them.
Mm-hmm.
That's on me for allowing them or trusting or believing that they are who they are.
Yeah.
You know, people suck.
Speaking of people sucking, topic 2 that we went over this year is a generational decline of toxic masculinity, or I'm sorry, of traditional masculinity. Now, all masculinity is just called toxic. A 2008 study showed that when compared to the baby boomer generation, millennials have higher levels of self-esteem, narcissism, anxiety, and depression. The devil's hands, or I'm sorry, idle hands are the devil's workshop, right?
Yeah.
Didn't you hear that as a kid?
Yes.
You don't have to believe in the devil to know that sitting around with no purpose in life is going to turn you into a piece of shit.
No, for sure. I mean, yeah, I mean, first off, you're going to have no sense of purpose. And with that, then you're going to start beating everybody else down because you have no confidence. I mean, it's just a toxic cycle. I mean, idle hands are the hands of the devil. We were meant to work. Mm-hmm. We were meant to provide. We were all built with a purpose. And you can't, you know, we look at animals all the time and we look at, like, you know, you look at, just take dogs, for instance, right? Like dogs, like you have labs that are meant to go out and, you know, hunt, right? Like dogs are have specific purposes to them, right? Malinois are for protection, right? Like all of these animals have the same thing. Like you look at,
and you can see what happens to that animal when they're not doing their job. They're fucking, like an Australian shepherd without a cow to bite is the most manic, anxiety-ridden creature. Yeah, they need to do work.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, but even though you look at animals, you look at their camouflage, right? Like the color. We're all meant for a reason.
Yeah, it's weird. It's kind of like the blind watchmaker theory almost. Where blind watchmaker theory is that kind of an argument for creationism almost, or at least some kind of intelligent purpose to the universe, which is if somebody that you just woke up from a coma and you didn't know anything. You knew that you were alive, that you were a person, but you didn't know shit. And you stumbled on the beach across a pocket watch. You picked it up, hit the button, it opens up like, oh shit. You may not know what it is or what it does, but you know for a fact that somebody made that. Something intelligent made it. Boghossian goes on to say the Descartes statement, I think, therefore I am. That had to be, if consciousness is intrinsic to life, that means something outside of consciousness has to exist, because something with active language had to define what that is. Otherwise, that statement would have no meaning. And he's an atheist, by the way. So ultimately, this all comes back to purpose. The blind watchmaker theory, you can pick up that watch, look at it, you know that it has a purpose, that it was made by somebody. Same thing for us, except for we're much more intelligent. I know that because I'm on average taller, stronger than a woman, that I can reach higher and lift heavier shit. That's not to say that all women are weak or that all men are strong, because that's certainly not the case. But we've really got to get away from this idea that the words normal and abnormal mean good and bad. Normal means average, motherfucker. It doesn't mean, like, if something is like, well, normally I go over here. What do you mean it's bad when you go over there? No, motherfucker. I just mean more often than not I go there. You know what I mean? And the idea that people using phrases like normies or freaks and weirdos, it's in-group, out-group nonsense, and it's been going on forever. But it's the words we use that are important. Normal doesn't mean good, and abnormal doesn't mean bad. I mean, normally, LeBron James is a cunt. And it would be abnormal if he actually was a good person. And sometimes he is. Sometimes he builds schools and shit. That's abnormal for him behavior, frankly. Because most of the time, he's a petulant little turd. So, anyways. The other part of this is declining testosterone levels, and it's why I tell people to get their shit checked. Millennial men have lower average testosterone than previous generations. In a study in 2007, which is almost fucking 15 years ago now, men's T levels have been declining by around 1% per year since 1980. For you math majors out there, that's 27% in 27 years. The average 60-year-old male in 2004 had 17% less testosterone than an average 68-year-old male or 60-year-old male in 1987. Average physical strength is in decline for men. 2016 study found that the average male between 20 and 34 could apply 98 pounds of force with their dominant hand, down from 117 pounds by a man with the same age in 1985. And that's why you should always fucking shake hands like a fucking man.
Yeah,
if somebody gives me a fucking weak fish handshake, I know that I don't ever need to fucking deal with that
these
person.
Kids growing up in 1985 were out literally having to chop firewood every day and do physical stuff and physically fix things. I mean, now imagine what the our kids are going to be like, fucking around like their thumbs are going to have thumb strength of a
I like that
ninja.
Like Kane is going to get, he's doing computer coding classes. That's super relevant for the future of this country. It would be great if they also required, like, not every kid is going to be a fucking athlete. So why not use the physical education block for, like, teaching them how to change? If they're not interested in playing sports, teach them how to change a fucking tire or build a fire, cut down trees and shit like that. That's useful. Or put fishing line together. What if all this falls apart?
What does this do to our country, though, if we get invaded?
Well, there's not going to be any fucking teenage Red Dawn shit going on now, is there? Those kids are just going to go to the fucking mall and scrounge around for shit until they run out, and that's the end. You know what I mean? Like, they have no fucking survivability skills. Married men have lower levels than single men. Testosterone levels significantly increase after divorce.
For sure.
Now, I don't know why that is. holding an infant or a baby doll has been shown to lower a man's testosterone levels.
I mean, my test right now sits at about a 108 or 109.
That can't be right. That's like a 90-year-old man.
That is 100. I can show you my blood work. Two separate blood works. It sets at 108 or 109 if I'm not taking.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Same. Yeah. Well, mine was the last time I got a check when it was super irregular was 165.
Yeah.
And I started taking it. I got it up to 460 or so, and my doctor's like, my old doctor from the Army, obviously was like, "Oh, you're good now." I'm like, "No, I feel like shit." Luckily, my doctor now keeps me somewhere between 750 and 850. I think that's where I feel most comfortable. For some people, it's a little higher.
I want
It's
to
in
get
the
mine
900.
to like 2,000.
Yeah, you'll start growing fucking horns out of your head
I don't
and
give
shit.
a fuck. I don't give a fuck.
But some people feel good 650 to 750. Some people feel good 750 to 850. Some people feel good in the 900 range. It's different for every single person.
Yeah.
But the point is, this is a really interesting scenario. So being married, taking on more of an empathetic role has a physiological effect on you, right? Having children has a physiological effect on you. You stop producing as much testosterone because your body doesn't think you need it anymore. You have to supplement. Like, you still need it for a myriad of reasons. It's not just about lifting heavy shit. It's that when your hormones get imbalanced, I mean, go find your wife the week after ovulation, right? When she's in PMS stage, and give her some fucking mental health tests and see how she does, right? They have to deal with that. We don't, right? I mean, it sucks blame God. It's not me. I didn't do it. But
God did not like women, did he?
No. No. Or maybe he did, because the most fulfilling life you can have is when you struggle for everything that you have. You know what I mean? Like, if you have to fight for everything you have, pretty much all the research now shows that people that have to work harder for what they have are way happier than anybody else. And that's because what you were talking about earlier. We're fucking machines designed for a purpose. And if you're not doing your purpose, you feel miserable all the goddamn time.
You're my purpose.
It's weird.
Hey, just touch this. Just touch it.
I don't know what that is.
Dude, just touch it. Just touch it.
It's bark off a fucking tree.
No, just touch it real quick. Come on, so I can set it down. You just touched my wood. Nasty.
Next story was, I don't know if you remember this one, and this goes to the masculine thing as well. I don't know if you remember Prince Harry or whatever his fucking name is. Is that the younger one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just going full on dumb.
Dumb.
He doesn't understand the First Amendment. So we wrote a story called "The First Amendment Explains Simply Enough That an Inbred Ginger Can Understand It." And that's exactly what this guy is, and the whole royal family. Excuse me. The First Amendment says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Peaceably assemble is the operative word there. If you were part of the BLM protests, fucking shit up, or you're one of those assholes from January 6th, then fuck you.
Hold on. If you were there peaceably,
for sure, yeah,
doing it,
and either one of those scenarios, yeah.
But when you started tearing shit up that wasn't yours, fuck you.
Or making threats. First up, freedom of religion. The first call, it's called the Establishment Clause by many. The Free Exercise Clause protects religious freedoms. The government can't establish a national religion, for example. Also can't prohibit you from worshiping or compel you to worship. And that last part is important. David Souter in 96 opined that not only does the First Amendment protect you, your freedom of religion, but also from, meaning that irreligion has to be shown the same respect as religion.
Yeah, like imagine being in Afghanistan or Iraq and having to be Muslim.
Yeah, right, yeah. Probably not great. I wonder what the murder rates for non-Muslims is in Afghanistan. This forbids the government from establishing official religions, as we said. blah, blah, blah. Freedom of speech. The First Amendment grants all people in the United States freedom to publicly express opinions without fear of censorship, interference, or restraint by the government. Now, you might say that these social media channels are privately owned companies. I mean, technically they're publicly owned companies, but that's neither here nor there.
Either way, they're not government.
Correct. They're not government, but 75 members of Congress do own stock in their companies.
For sure.
So are they or are they not, right? And then when something becomes a public utility, as the internet has, then what, right?
Well, I mean,
like you have to establish that somebody's committing a crime before you can remove their access.
I think when you have something that has this much impact in, when you're using not just, it's not a democracy on there. Like there's an algorithm. Like they are manipulating what you see and what you don't.
And Facebook finally had to admit in court last week
that their opinion
that they're not even real, man. Jesus Christ. They fucked themselves over big time on that one, especially here in Texas where you can now sue social media companies and internet providers for censorship based on political position and stuff like that. Man, that was a huge mistake by their fucking legal team to let that get out. I mean, a huge mistake. They should have paid whatever settlement or changed whatever they needed to keep that from getting out, because now the fucking as soon as somebody files a class action lawsuit, Facebook's going to have to start paying people off. Like there's no other way around it. And when you open those floodgates, holy shit. A person cannot be held liable either criminally or civilly for anything written or spoken about a person or topic as long as it is truthful and or based on honest opinions. Yeah. That's a big one too. Freedom of the press, obviously, we're seeing weird shit there. I mean, the press, the Biden team put out a statement that they were working with the press behind the scenes to help craft a narrative for Build Back Better and their issues in Afghanistan and at the border and with COVID. You're working with the press to craft a message. That's propaganda, dude.
Yeah.
That's not, you shouldn't be friends. If you're a reporter out there and you're friends with the White House staff, what the fuck are you doing? You know what I mean? Jesus Christ. A properly functioning free press also gives platforms to marginalized voices that may otherwise be left out of mainstream discussions.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you what else you have freedom of.
What's that?
It's freedom of getting a fucking ghost bed.
Yeah, Richard Ryan fucking texted me earlier. He just bought like $12,000 worth of ghost beds.
Hell yeah.
For his whole house. He's got a pretty nice house over there. Apparently he got a new dog from Mike Ritland, one of Mike's fucking service dogs, and he's like, man, the dog is just all over me at night. I'm like, all right, cool. What are you gonna do? He goes, I'm gonna get a fucking double king. I'm sorry, what? 2 king beds side by side, which I guess if he's getting the adjustable base as well, is 4 consecutive adjustable bases. I don't know what kind of fucking party Richard Ryan's getting down on there. I guess he's just gonna have all 3 of his dogs in bed at the same time.
Like, do you not feel that gap in between those?
Oh no.
How do you not feel that?
It's a mattress cover that goes over that whole thing. It's dope.
A double king.
And then with the adjustable base, it has those RJ45 internet connectors with Cat5 cable connecting all of them. Actually, is it RJ11s? It might be. I don't know if it's internet or telephone cable. Either way, they're all on one remote, or you can split them. Either way.
A double king.
Look, man, it's Richard Ryan. What the fuck do you expect? He's got a $25,000 goddamn espresso machine in his house.
A double king. I'm gonna get double king.
Yeah, you should. Well, I don't know. I mean,
I sleep by myself.
Yeah, and you always will, bitch.
Did you just laugh?
Yeah, it was funny.
Did you just laugh, motherfucker?
Laughed at my own joke.
Yeah, but anyways.
Yeah, Ghostbed's got the deal going on. He texted me and he was like, hey, when I put your code in, the price actually goes up. I'm like, yeah, because you're buying adjustable bases, and it's 40% off if you buy an adjustable base, which is an even better deal than our deal. He goes, oh, shit. So I think he added more adjustable bases. I don't know what he did. Ghostbed's a shit. Go to ghostbed.com/drinkerbros and get them deals.
Even if you sleep alone like me.
Yeah, even if you're a fucking loser.
But I could probably do 1,000-piece puzzle on a fucking double king.
Oh, you could do a 5,000-piece puzzle on that.
Hell yeah.
We almost got a puzzle at Target the other day. And I was going to put it all together and then send you video of me putting it together to make you jealous.
Dude, you're with me. I don't care what Brittany says. We're together. Me and you are together.
She's a lot hotter than you.
You don't mean that.
Next up is cardomax.com. Use the promo code American to get 30% off your next 4 orders. Cardomax's immune booster is, it's that time of year. Everybody's freaking out about Omicron, although it doesn't even make you sick, apparently. Maybe a little cold. By the way, do you know how many colds there are in America per year? 1 billion, 1.1 billion. It's like 3 colds per person per year.
So here's what I want to tell
you. And that's where we are now.
This was what was nuts. I gave a speech down in Tampa. Or no, Orlando. When did this Omicron come out?
Like 2 months ago? I don't remember.
No, it didn't.
A month ago, maybe? I don't know.
Like, how long ago did they start reporting it?
I don't fucking know, dude.
But in America,
it's your goddamn your travel. Figure it out.
No, I know when my travel was. I'm just asking when. So, anyways, you know how you just heard the White House talk today, or they said they heard that they're gonna order like 1 million or whatever it is at-home COVID test.
Yeah, but they don't, like, the PCR test is getting recalled now, isn't it?
But check it out. Hold on. So I was speaking at this truckers event, and the guy came up to me over a month ago and said, "Yeah, we're getting ready to have a bunch of business on, we're getting ready delivering a bunch of PCR tests we've heard coming down the pipe." How the fuck would they have known that?
Well, I'm sure they were just preparing for the holidays, right? The holidays, and it's cold this time of year.
Yeah, whatever.
Those are the biggest spreads, but really it's all about money. You know that.
Whatever.
But if you want to save money and not spend money on stupid shots or stupid fucking tests that don't work.
Yeah.
And because it can't tell the difference between the flu and
nobody's died.
No.
As a doctor myself, nobody's died that takes the immune booster.
Yeah,
Cardomax.
That's because it's made by Navy SEALs, and Navy SEAls don't die from weak bullshit.
Yeah, that's fact.
They die from overusing hair gel mostly.
Yeah, usually it's hair gel.
Yeah.
That gets them.
So Cardomax is offering American Party an exclusive offer, 30% off your next 4 orders. Go to cardomax.com, use the promo code American. That's cardomax.com, use the promo code American, and you will get 30% off your next 4 orders. Cardomax, helping you achieve your max. And next up, this one is one you guys are probably going to want to get on soon. It's Amazon Music Unlimited, and you're going to want to get on it because my fucking book club is starting soon. I'm waiting for I got my home studio set up now, and my my sign is getting made. So as soon as that's done, we're going to start. So yeah, there will be podcasts on there, but also you can there's all kinds of books and shit available on there as well, and also music. So you got 10 million free podcast episodes. Smartless, which is one of my new favorites because I love Arrested Development, and fucking, I don't know. I really enjoy that show. Have you listened to Smartless yet? Good. Also enjoy, if you're a true crime fan, Dr. Death Miracle Man is good. All the shows that Dan Cummins and his wife do are really good. Deborah So's show, if you're interested in all the new science on gender stuff that's going on, and from a person that actually knows what the fuck they're talking about, that's good. There's tons of good shows out there. Not just for podcasts, though. There's a ton of music. Pretty much every song you could ever imagine.
And I'm going to start my own book club, too.
You should, yeah. It's a coloring book club, right? Nailed it. Anybody?
Wow.
Are we doing this or what?
You know what? Right after me and Giorgio go,
somebody in the fucking in the audience make a logo for the Dakota Meyer Coloring Book Club, and I'll get a giant goddamn poster made. I'll cover this whole wall. No, you can make it so he can color it in.
No, I have a flip side have a company that does.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I thought well, you
It's
don't
all
make.
about Dan. It's all about fucking Dan on this show. You know what I mean? This is why don't we change it instead of the American party to the Dan fucking party that Dakota gets to come to? All about fucking Dan. You know what I mean? Oh, we could call her. Oh God. Oh yeah, my friend's got $25,000 Keurig. I've got my own book club.
He's your friend too, bitch.
Dude, you got a $25,000. You got a book club. You didn't even invite me to it.
What is happening?
You didn't even invite me to your book club.
You're welcome anytime. Actually, your book was is going to be the first one that's on there, you dummy. Well, if it comes out in time, it comes out in March, right? Yeah, look.
Can you read?
No, I listen on fucking Amazon. That's what we're talking about right now. God damn it. So, I don't use Alexa. If you got Alexa, it works with all that stuff as well. If you get Amazon Music Unlimited skips, every song in the world is available anytime you want it. That's what I like. Because I'll hear some obscure song on a movie or some shit. I'm like, I want to hear more of this dude's music. You can find it all there. So if you've never tried Amazon Music Unlimited, now's a great time. For a limited time, new customers can try Amazon Music Unlimited. Free for 3 months, no credit card required. Just go to Amazon.com/American Party. That's Amazon.com/American Party to try Amazon Music Unlimited free for 3 months. Amazon.com/American Party. Renews automatically. Cancel anytime. Can you make... You know that paint that's like chalkboard paint? Could you make something out of that? Is that possible to stick to that stuff, right?
What do you want to do with it?
Like if you made a big chalkboard sign with an outline on it that you could also draw on, right? Like a big fucking wall calendar. A chalkboard. Well, I know, but it would be cooler if it's thin and light instead of that giant, heavy fucking behemoth. And I don't like dry erase boards. I like chalk. I prefer to write with it.
I'll try to come up with it. I mean, chalk, like, the problem is, like, with that chalk shit on a wall thing.
You have to repaint it, like, every fucking, 3 months or some shit. We had that shit at Black Rifle. Anyways. Yeah, it was terrible.
You're my hero.
Southwest Key Programs is next. You all remember that? The rampant pedophilia and robbing the government and all the insider trading and embezzlement. Southwest Key Programs is a nonprofit organization founded in 1987 based out of Austin. In their first year of operation, they housed 21 juvenile offenders.
Out of everything we talked about, this is still the most fucked up.
It's still going on, too. My buddy that said he's down at the border here in Texas. They pretty much grab every plate coming in and out of there, and he looks the plates up, and he'll send me screenshots like, hey, look, another Southwest Keys vehicle. Like there's hundreds and hundreds of kids. 96, they operated the first child detention centers under the Obama administration. They were able to open numerous additional shelters. That was when Hillary was down at the border setting up all those women and children shelters for the Guatemalan folks that were coming up. Excuse me. Southwest Key now owns and operates 26 shelters for unaccompanied immigrant minors in California, Arizona, and Texas, and capable of housing more than 5,000 children, although they house quite a bit more than that. In July 2018, a worker at one of their places in Phoenix was accused of molesting a teenage girl in their care, and in September of the same year, an HIV-positive worker was convicted of sexually abusing 7 teenage boys. Their Arizona shelter, another one in Arizona, was temporarily shut down because of physical abuse against children.
And what we found out about this is like, so no one's tracking these kids. Mm-hmm. They don't have social security numbers. They have no numbers. So
they have an immigrant number, but that's it.
Who's tracking it? Where's that list at?
Only USCIS and ICE can track those kind of things.
And so, like, if this person, like, let's just play a scenario out. So you get this number. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Mm-hmm. Who comes in and inventories to make sure that 1, 2, 3, 4?
Oh, nobody's doing that because they can't even find these fucking kids.
That's what I'm saying, right? So, like, there's no tracking it. So how's this kid going to tell on?
They just every now and again a local reporter will do some kind of report on it.
And the Border Patrol can't even go there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, state police from Texas, the governor of Texas, wheelchair, went down to one of their facilities in southern Texas with state police, and they told them to go fuck themselves. They should have bulldozed that building. This is Texas, bitch. Anyways, as bad as the rampant reporting of abuses, it's also a massive tax shelter. So instead of purchasing shelters, the charity, quote unquote, rent shelters in extremely high costs. The kicker there is that the board members of the charity borrowed money from the charity. So the government funds the charity, right, through tax-free grants.
It's a nonprofit, yeah.
Yeah. Tax-free grants go to Southwest Key. The board members borrow that money to their private companies that they own privately, buy properties, and then rent them back to the charity. They paid $117,000 a month for a shelter that was previously rented by another entity for $30,000 a month. In 2005, real estate broker Ruth Hsu, HSU, formed an LLC called Conroe CHS with Sanchez and former CFO Melody Chung. Conroe CHS purchased former boarding school dormitories near Houston. Then they rented them back to Southwest Key. To date, Southwest Key has paid more than $3 million in rent for the Conroe CHS shelters, just those, only those. By renting shelters, they're able to circumvent this federal salary cap of $187,000 per year. The CEO of the company earns about $1.5 million a year, and his wife earns about $500,000, and the CFO about $1 million a year. So it's this rampant corruption, and nobody's doing shit about that, by the way. Nor will they. Well, I'll go through some of the Clinton body count people. That was a fun story.
That was awesome.
Suzanne Coleman. Just look these up in your free time. I want to breeze through this because we got some other stuff to talk about. Danny Casolaro, Ed Wiley with 2 L's, Jerry Parks, Kathy Ferguson, Bill Shelton, Seth Rich, Jeffrey Epstein. Is that how you say that name? Christopher Sine was the latest. Let's see. Resegregating America. This is a big story. Berkeley, which is the most liberal place on earth, found that 81% of regions with more than 200,000 residents were more segregated in 2019 than they were in 1990. Not good. No. Poverty rates in minority communities are 3 times higher than white communities. So whenever you hear that a city's going to revitalize a neighborhood, what they really mean is that they're going to kick all the black and brown people out, whether actually or they just raise prices so much that it happens. And, to be fair, sometimes that stuff just happens naturally. If you invest in stuff and property values go up, it's not what I don't want is the government controlling property value either. What I would prefer to see is when investors, business people, go into an area and they want to revive, hey, this is a valuable piece of property if we make it nicer. What would also be nice is if you help the people that actually fucking live there. It would be like us going and building a goddamn resort town in Kabul and kicking all the fucking Afghans out, man. It doesn't make any fucking sense to do that. Of course these motherfuckers are going to be pissed off.
Yeah.
Black children raised in integrated neighborhoods earn $1,000 more per year than their counterparts. Black children raised in primarily white neighborhoods earn $5,000 more per year as adults. So I'll say this. I
want to go back to the other thing. 13 point what percent make up African Americans? 13.4% of the nations. We have to live with each other.
Yeah. We
have to live with each other.
Yeah, we do. It's if your attitude is that you're not your brother's keeper, right? Then fuck you, man. Yeah. That's not what this country is.
This is 2021. It doesn't matter what fucking color you are.
Yeah. Children raised in segregated black communities, which are more now than they were 2 years ago, which is fucking stupid, are half as likely to receive a bachelor's degree. Latino kids in integrated communities earn $800 plus more dollars per year. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it means a lot, right? $5,000 more per year when raised in primarily white communities. I'll say this again. We're not going to belabor this point, but Martin Luther King Jr. said that you have two hands for a fucking reason. One to pull yourself up, and the other one to pull the next person up with you. And if you're only looking down at people that look like you to pull them up, then you are a fucking cunt.
100%.
That last part I added. That wasn't Martin Luther King.
I don't think Martin Luther King.
He probably didn't use the word cunt very often.
Do you think?
I doubt it. I mean, he was banging fucking 16-year-olds, but I don't think he used the word cunt.
Yeah.
There's got to be a line somewhere.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got here.
What about the children?
Fuck them. Fuck them kids, man.
In March, this is another story we talked about a lot. In March, border agents took 18,890 unaccompanied children into custody. April, we saw a record high influx of unaccompanied minors with nearly 23,000 children being held in federal custody. These children spent on an average of 135 hours in border facilities, which is almost twice the legal limit of 72 hours. Like, this is what the Democrats have done, right? Like as much as they say, oh, let's don't close the border. Well, they have no fucking plan for when they come over here. So these children are getting separated from their families. Some of them, they're being held in facilities,
convention centers,
in the facilities. And guess what? And then shitheads are profiting off of
the situation, and also preying on the kids. Yeah. There's nobody there to protect these.
Nobody's there to protect these kids. So again, the Democrats, and this is a Democratic thing.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a good example of how, look up authoritative parenting. It's a really good thing to research. And I say, I make, I guess, light of it sometimes, but who loves you more? The person that coddles you and pats you on the head while you're jamming a fork into an electrical socket, or the person that slaps it out of your hand and calls you a fucking idiot? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, there's probably something less severe than calling them an idiot you could do, but if I had to choose between the two, the choice is clear. People need guidance, especially children. They need to be helped. They need to be protected. And what we see is a wholesale fucking attack on masculinity in general. All the things that protect us are being attacked right now. And doing stuff that takes away the agency of a person or their ability to protect themselves, or because they're in a bad situation, if you're trying to have them skip the line, for lack of a better phrase, and come into a better situation without actually having to do the work, that person will more or less, they'll fail almost every time.
Trust fund babies.
Yeah. I mean, you see these kids, if you're sick of the entitled millennial bullshit, man, you really can't vote for Democrats anymore, because that's their whole campaign strategy at this point. That's their whole political strategy. The cost of this stuff is crazy, by the way. We're spending like just one temporary facility here in Texas is costing taxpayers $16 million a month. That's just one place. Unbelievable.
$16 million a month.
Yeah.
And it's cheaper here than anywhere else.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Next up, Big Pharma and the FDA. That was a big one this year.
Huge, right?
Even bigger with the next story, which is Political Insider, or the last story, which is Political Insider Trading, but we'll start here. The former FDA commissioner joined the board of Pfizer in March of 2019, Scott Gottlieb. Resigned his position as commissioner of the Food and Drug Administration after holding the position for 2 years. At the time of his resignation, he told the Washington Post that he was resigning from the position so he could spend more time with his family. A month later, he was given a position on the board of directors of Pfizer. Since leaving the FDA, Gottlieb has gone on to join the board of directors for the venture capital firm New Enterprise Associates in a Washington, D.C. based think tank called American Enterprise Institute. A former FDA commissioner sitting on the board of directors of a pharmaceutical company obviously is a conflict of interest, but that one's kind of banal, almost compared to the other shit they're doing.
Yeah.
So the pay later conflict of interest. When a new therapy is under review by the FDA, and this is something we're dealing with now, it undergoes a process where a panel of medical researchers and patient advocates vote on whether or not it should be approved for sale. While the FDA uses well-established system to identify possible conflicts of interest before such panels meet, they don't take into account the kickbacks received by panel members at later dates. A science.org investigation found that of the 107 physician advisors who voted on committees to approve drugs for sale in America, 40 of them received more than $10,000 in post hoc earnings or research support from the makers of the drug that the panels voted to approve or from competing firms. 26 of them, so about 25%, made over $100,000. 6 of them made more than $1 million. Of the more than $24 million in personal payments or research support from the industry to the top 16 earning advisors, 93% came from the makers of drugs those advisors specifically voted on.
Yeah.
Those payments were disclosed in scholarly journals, but not by the FDA.
Insane.
And the last part of that, the FDA is the most corrupt organization on earth, maybe. 25 years ago, it was entirely taxpayer funded. And Congress, under the guise of, oh, that's not fair, the fucking taxpayer shouldn't have to pay for this, enacted the Prescription Drug User Fee Act, which charged pharmaceutical companies for each new drug application filed. And the funds were used to hire drug reviewers and support staff, which means that like Pfizer is paying the salaries of the people who are voting on whether or not to make their drug legal.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. In 1995, the fee for renewing a new drug was $208,000, but has since grown to over $2 million per application for review. So every time Pfizer comes up with a new drug, and it happens in 3 segments typically. It's the original drug, and then the extended release, and then some other variant of it, right? They do it, and over the course of 30 years, it's 3 of them. That's fucking $6 million per drug that's going to the FDA directly. As a result, 45% of the FDA's annual budget and 75% of its drug review budget is paid for by Pfizer and Moderna and Johnson & Johnson.
Crazy. Insane.
God damn it, man. Last, but certainly not least, is political insider trading. We talked about this not too long ago.
Yeah, when you want to see like why people like are not doing, why all these politicians are not voting on common sense things in common sense ways, what we should do is we should be able to go look and see what stocks they have.
Yeah.
That'll tell us, you have this saying, and we say this on the show all the time, is just follow the fucking money.
Mm.
Follow the money, and it'll show you it's the trail to the reasons of why decisions are being made.
Yep.
And it's even in our people up there who are making decisions.
Yeah, 12 days before the 2008 economic meltdown, the housing market crisis, several members of Congress sold off stocks after being warned about the impending economic crisis by the Treasury Department and the Fed. The days after the meeting with the Treasury Secretary, 10 senators made trades to protect their financial interests, including the following. Senator Shelley Capito from West Virginia. Capito and her husband sold off a combined $350,000 in Citigroup. The next day, it fell by about $20 per share. Saved her quite a bit of money.
Dick Durbin did it too.
Yeah, Dick Durbin sold off $74,000 plus from his portfolio the day after meeting with the Treasury. Sold an additional $42,000, so over $100,000, mostly Berkshire Hathaway stuff. Representative Jim Moran also from West Virginia, so I guess that whole state's fucked up, dumped shares in 90. Well, I guess Manchin took one of their jobs. Oh no, he's a representative. Jim Moran dumped shares in 90 companies, including Goldman Sachs, DirecTV, Cisco, General Dynamics, Ecolabs, AT&T, EA, and Franklin Resources. Senator John Kerry, who by the way is rich as fuck because his wife owns Heinz.
Yeah.
Like Heinz ketchup and everything else that they own. Teresa Heinz. She's the fucking person that inherited all that shit. So he doesn't really need any more money. He was actually on the Senate Finance Committee. So he's having closed-door meetings with the Secretary of Treasury. sold, or he bought $550,000 in Citigroup stock in October and November as well, while the Fed and Treasury debated how much each bank would receive from TARP and other bailouts. It turned out to be like, what was it, $8 billion? I think they gave $8 billion. And
did he vote on giving them TARP?
He not only voted on it, but voted on it in committee to get it to the vote in the fucking first place. Right? Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, cool name, Democrat, Rhode Island, following the meeting with Treasury, sold about $250,000, allowing him to avoid shit. And then, of course, there's the COVID trading scandal. January 2020, the Senate Committee on Health and Foreign Relations held a private meeting with only senators to brief them about the COVID outbreak and how it could affect the U.S. Following the meeting, Senator Kelly Loeffler and her husband made 27 transactions to sell stock worth between $1.1 and $3.1 million, and 2 transactions to buy stock in Citrix Systems. Senator David Perdue was also present, purchased $185,000 in DuPont, who makes masks, right, and other PPE. Senator John Hoeven purchased $250,000 in health and science companies. 5 days after the briefing, the Justice Department launched an investigation into the stock transactions on March 30th of 2020, but no charges were brought against any of the senators. I mean, it's just shocking that nobody was arrested for that. Up, man. There's the Stock Act that Congress. Here's the problem.
There is nothing illegal about them doing this.
No.
Is it moral? No.
Yeah. There's just no recourse. We're asking Congress to police itself, and how do you think that's going to go?
Well, it's kind of like with the healthcare system, right? Like they were able to put something in place for all Americans except themselves.
Yep. Man, it's been a year. I'll say that.
Which year do you think was crazier, 2020 or 2021?
I think that 21 was more fucked up, to be honest, because I got a lot more political.
Yeah.
I mean, people have been radicalized politically over the last several years. There's actually a study done by, hold on, let me see what it was. USC, Southern Cal, the Trojans. Members of online communities whose views constantly receive positive reinforcement from others are more likely to become violent. So social media echo chambers lead them to be, it's positive affirmation of their beliefs. And it's kind of what, and we're seeing it now, however you feel about Trump, his own son, Donald Jr., was texting his chief of staff saying, tell that motherfucker to tell people to go home on January 6th. Even his son said that. I'm not making it up. You can read the fucking text for yourself. Trump's saying, and I'm not saying, the fucking January 6th shit is so blown out of proportion, but it all could have been stopped if he had said, instead of saying, yeah, they stole the election, but go home. Like, he could have
doing something is sometimes just as bad as doing something.
He could have just said, we'll fight this in the courts. Thank you for showing up. Don't get fucking violent, because then they win. And they did, by the way. That stupid shit that happened on January 6th took all the focus off the fact that there were a lot of weird things that happened during that election. Yeah. Especially, not so much the voting part, although the mail-in voting I think is bullshit, but that whole campaign, instead of being focused on quote-unquote voter fraud, should have been focused on how we've been programmed by social media. And now this study from USC confirms that, right? So I'll tell you this. Ground yourself in principles. To close the year, this is episode 90. To close the year, I'm just going to read you the principles that we have in our little list here so you can reflect on those over the holidays. I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I will do something every day to help my country. My countrymen are all men. That one's particularly poignant right now because it's the holidays and a lot of people struggle this time of year. I will not allow those less fortunate or incapable of defending themselves to be harmed or taken advantage of in my country. Patriots say we, not me. As a leader, I will eat last. And we need leaders because we don't have any.
Yeah.
Not in Congress, not in the Senate, not in the fucking White House for sure. I'll put more into this country than I take out of it.
That's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
All of us need to look around that. I will pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe in order to assure the survival and the success of liberty. Liberty, individual determinism, and personal entrepreneurship is the ultimate inoculation to tyrannical bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, it's no form of government scales indefinitely, right?
Yeah.
It's authoritarianism is required at some point, no matter what your form of government is, and that is the best argument ever for small government. If you're a traditional conservative and you want small government, you are correct, and all the data promotes that.
Upward control, exercising authority at the lowest possible level, is the foundation of American democracy. I will kneel before no man and will fight any man who requires it of others.
Yep. I will promote equality of opportunity and not outcome, particularly when I'm in a position of power and wealth. And I think that's the Martin Luther King quote from earlier.
I will reject divisiveness in all its forms, for those trying to divide us are trying to conquer us.
Yeah, like 1619. That's stupid bullshit. Intersectionality. I will ensure justice come to those who deserve it, whether it be punishment or reward. I would say spend as much time rewarding people for good behavior as you do talking shit for people in bad behavior.
I will place virtue above commerce. My efforts towards the public good will always trump my efforts towards my own good. And this last one, I'll say this. People always ask me all the time, what can I do to support veterans? This last one is about the best thing you can do to support the people who serve our country, to include veterans, first responders, anybody who's willing to put the nation's cloth on and go out and protect you, me, and the ideas of this democracy. And it is, I will live a life worth dying for. Yep.
It's Tom Hanks at the end of Saving Private Ryan. Earn this. Right?
Yep. And guess what? This will be the last time we say it. I'll say it to you next year.
Yeah. See you in hell.
See you in hell.